Artificial intelligence has given us a lot of things to think about. There has been an exponential hype around AI in various sectors, in various fields and disciplines. The key question, though, that many have been wondering about, can AI replace human expertise? That's the key question for today. But before we answer that question, I want to show you a video. It's a true life story that happened in 2009, where a plane landed in the Hudson River.
Cactus 1549, 700, landing 5,000.
Cactus 15.9, departure to contact line, maintain 15,000.
Maintain 15,000, Cactus 1549.
Cactus 15.9, turn left lane 270.
This is Cactus 1539, hit birds, lost thrust on both engines, returning back towards LaGuardia.
Okay, you need to return to LaGuardia. Turn left heading up 220.
220.
Tower, stop your departure, he's got emergency returning. So is it 1529? He bird strike, he lost all engine, he lost the thrust in the engines, he's returning immediately.
Cactus 1529, which engines?
He lost thrust in both engines, he said.
Got it.
Cactus 1529. If we can get it for you, do you want to try to land 1013?
We're unable. We may end up in the Hudson.
Hi, Cactus 15.9. It's going to be left traffic to runway 31.
Unable.
Okay, what do you need to land? Do you want to try to go to Teterboro?
Yes.
Teterboro, Empire. Actually, LaGuardia departure guy, emergency inbound.
Hey, go ahead.
Cactus 1529 over the George Washington Bridge. Wants to go to the airport right now.
Wants to go to our airport. Check. Does he need assistance?
Yes, it was a bird strike. Can I get him in for runway 1?
Runway 1, that's good.
Cactus 1529, turn right 280. You can land runway 1 at Teterboro.
We can't do it.
Okay, which runway would you like at Teterboro?
We're going to be in the Hudson.
I'm sorry, say again, Cactus? Cactus 15.9, radar contact is lost. You also got Newark Airport up at 2 o'clock in about 7 miles. Eagle Flight 4718, turn left thing 210.
210, 4718.
So the plane landed in the Hudson River. There were no casualties, there were minor injuries, but not one person died from this incident. And so pilots in aviation, they are not trained to land planes in water or in rivers or in lakes. And so the Commission of Inquiry at the time, the National Transportation Safety Board, the NTSB, found this to be a little bit unconventional, you see. So they held this Commission of Inquiry to determine the events that led up to this particular situation. And what they had done is that they had their own skilled pilots who ran through simulations of this particular incident. And they found that through computer simulations, that after the bird strike had occurred, that the pilot would have been able to turn back and land on one of the landing strips, or particularly at LaGuardia Airport. But to keep the long to short version of the story, there was a movie that was made from this particular true life story that happened in 2009. And Tom Hanks played the lead pilot role in the movie called Sully. And in the movie, we can witness Tom Hanks as Sully saying that had they accounted for the human factor, because in real life situations, when that thing occurred, they weren't told to turn back to the airport. They had to interpret the situation as it happened. When the pilots ran the computer simulations, they were informed to turn back and land on one of the landing strips, and they did. But in that particular situation, it took about 5 to 15 seconds on average to determine what would be the best possible scenario to occur from that video that you had just watched. And based on that particular situation, Sully, the pilot, with his co-pilot, took a brave decision to land the plane in the Hudson River instead of going back to one of the landing strips, because they had figured out that they would have been on a lower terrain. So if aviation was a sport, perhaps Sully might have been a national sporting hero. But what we learn from this is that computer simulations are there to assist us. And Sully portrays years of skills and experience as a skilled pilot to take a decision that was made in seconds to do the complete unconventional act of landing the plane in the Hudson River. So there's two theories that emanate from this particular incident. There's the expertise theory and the theory of metacognition. When we look at the expertise theory, it demonstrates how skill and talent develops and emerges over time, practice and repetition through experiential learning, strategy, knowledge, and application. It documents how individuals become experts in their domain or field through a process of cognitive task analysis, and portrays the necessary skills and expertise more robustly, effectively, and efficiently than novices, which leads into the next theory. And in sports psychology, when we work with athletes, there are a number of psychological concepts that we learn that can really help athletes optimize their performance. And these concepts range from self-regulation to self-awareness to self-reflection to self-belief, and other concepts in terms of visualization, imagery, etc. And we are taught about these concepts to be applied in sport individually. But not once do we ever look at these psychological concepts as a whole to see that if we combine it together and collaboratively, what it would mean. And that process or theory is known as metacognition. So from the incident of Sully when he landed the plane in the Hudson River, he displayed theories of expertise theory and metacognition. And that comes from years of skills and experience. And so that's the key question around this talk is, what place does artificial intelligence have when it comes to expertise and skill? So you're probably familiar with this quadrant that you see on screen. And a lot of the time when we navigate into our own disciplines or fields, we can either be in this area where we speak to I know what I know, things we are aware of and understand. On the other spectrum, I know what I don't know, things we are aware of but don't understand. I don't know what I know, things we understand but are not aware of. And then I don't know what I don't know, things we are neither aware of nor understand. So certainly artificial intelligence can certainly assist us in understanding things better and becoming aware of things even better. But as human beings, we tend to understand where do we navigate within this quadrant of knowing and not knowing and being aware of something or understanding certain aspects. And so that leads into the next topic, and that's the meat of this talk, and that is, can artificial intelligence replace human expertise? So the image that you see on screen here was an op-ed that I had published in the Mail and Guardian in March 2023, where I talk about AI cannot replace human expertise at this stage, but what it does is that it offers us 6 E's, and that is enablement and extension, empowerment and enhancement, and then the integrations of AI in education, but also the importance of being aware of the implications that it has from an ethical perspective. So let's look at some examples of these individually. If we look at enablement, one of the key things in the deaf community is sign language. And when they are communicating with hearing people, they often lip read to understand what the hearing person is saying. Now, through AI, we have glasses that the deaf could wear, where when hearing people are speaking to them, it basically churns out the subtitles on the glasses so that they can understand what they're saying and then communicate with them. So it doesn't replace anyone by communicating, but it enables a deaf person to communicate a lot more effectively with someone who is not doing sign language with them. So that's an example of enablement. When we look at an example of extension, in the medical field, for example, in terms of early warning signs, bookings of surgical theatres, or consolidated management of all patients in wards, ICUs for health professionals, that can be quite tricky or challenging. Now we see that AI can augment those. They can augment early warning signs for patients. They can assist in the bookings of surgical theatres. But what it cannot replace is the expertise and the skills of surgeons who have trained for many years to operate on patients, irrespective of what their condition or diagnosis is. So in this scenario, we can see that AI is the extension to the person, but it does not replace a human expert, depending on what the field or what their discipline is. Of course, we've now seen that AI can replace certain soft skills and certain hard sciences depending on what it is. But this is a key example of where AI can extend the human skill and expert in what they do. And then when we look at an example in terms of empowerment, what you see here on your screen is the common analogy of a person taking the horse to the water. And often they're not making them drink it, but we are responsible by drinking our own water. So similarly, AI can assist us by taking us to the water, but we are still needing to drink that water. So the example that you see on screen here could be from a financial perspective. Financial analysts are always required to make predictions or analysis of where the market is going, the stocks, currency pairs, etc. Obviously, depending on various market conditions and various factors, no one can absolutely predict what may occur. But with AI, it provides better insight, better data, and more analytics so that the human can make a much better informed decision of what could transpire and better insights or advice to their clients if they are working within financial planning. So here what we see in the example of finances is that AI doesn't replace the human, but it empowers them to make better decisions. And then when we look at an example of enhancement, I use an example of the cooking industry. So AI can certainly assist in making recipes a lot more effective or more accurate, looking at the dosages of different ingredients and the procedure, the recipe of how certain meals or dishes could be prepared. But in addition to that, we now even see that robotic chefs have come to light, where they can assist chefs in restaurants making certain dishes or even assisting with certain activities within the kitchen. But these are probably tasks that couldn't be replaced. It's more your mediocre activities such as slicing, dicing, cutting, peeling, etc., and not the core areas that are required to make a dish. So the key aspect in this scenario is that it can enhance the way they do things in the kitchen, but the chef would still need to be present to oversee the process of what's happening. And this is going to be, AI is going to really revolutionize the restaurant and cooking industry because a lot more dishes will be cooked well, tasty, and it will also be prepared in more efficient time, thereby enabling and enhancing what chefs and cooks are doing within restaurants or even within kitchens. And then we come to the more important aspect, and especially from a university perspective, how is AI or even GPTs integrated within education? There's been an overwhelming amount of discussion around the effects of ChatGPT on education, on learning, and on research. But at this point in time, in May 2023, we've seen a lot of information that is provided by the stick, and not a lot from the carrot. And with this particular aspect, you've got to give the carrot and the stick. And the stick has been given to show of how challenging or potentially bad ChatGPT could be for education. But no one really talks about the pros or the positive effects that ChatGPT can offer from an education or research perspective. For example, if you're an academic and if you submit a paper to a journal and it gets rejected, you're probably feeling down and now you have to prepare submitting that paper to another journal. The problem is that the referencing style of that particular journal is different to the former. So you'd either use a referencing manager or you'd have to adjust the references manually. But did you know that through ChatGPT or even the new GPT on the block, which is Bard on Google, if you upload your references on ChatGPT or Bard and ask it to change it to Vancouver or Harvard, it will churn it out for you in a few seconds, instead of you taking a few hours or days changing your references. So, of course, you have to still give oversight to check if those references are accurate. But what it does is it allows us to save time. It allows us to augment and supercharge what we do in teaching, learning, assessment, as well as research. And so from an educational perspective, we have to be mindful of the challenges, the ethical implications, the implications that it may have on students in terms of reducing critical thinking time, in terms of not being able to, for students not being able to sound their voice through writing because ChatGPT is doing that automatically. What we should do instead is to rather see how we diversify our assessment pedagogies so that we can use ChatGPT as a tool to augment what we do in education. Very similarly, a laptop is a device or a tool. Your phone is a tool. ChatGPT or Bard or other GPTs, they are a tool. It's how you use it that's going to make a difference. And so we need to think carefully of how AI is going to be embedded within education so that it can really optimize the way we learn and the way we teach. And then the last E that we refer to is a very important one, and that is ethics. And so what are the ethical regulations around the effects of AI? If AI is going to write a paper, it's completely unethical. It's a form of plagiarism. What are the ethical regulations behind these? A lot of journals, a lot of publications have already put measures and policies in place around how AI and GPTs can be navigated around ethical considerations when it comes to publishing, when it comes to teaching, or even in other sectors in terms of what happens in terms of IP or intellectual property. So I'll give you a particular example or a scenario. We're going to be moving forward in the AI revolution where things may become, there may be a lot more robotics. We're going to see a lot of robots surface in future. We already have, but in the next 10 to 20 years, we're going to see a lot more robots surface in various sectors. So the scenario that I want to give is, for example, a child crosses the road, and instead of the automated car stopping or hitting the emergency brake to avoid colliding with the child, instead, it proceeds driving and bumps the child without a mistake or programming error, but with deliberate intent. It bumps the child. The key question is, who is at fault here? Is it the robot? Is it the human that has programmed the robot? Or is it the company that sells or distributes the robot? So verily and hopefully, in time, humans would have programmed robots to serve or be of benefit to society. But a robot taking an autocratic decision on what to do in that very moment through independent processes, because that's where AI is going. They'll be able to think and critique and apply for themselves. Is the human programmer or company still at fault? And so through that example, we can see that it's important that AI becomes governed by robust laws, robotic constitutions, regulations, IP, including copyright, and most of all, ethics, to discuss the interplay between human and machine or robot. So in a nutshell, when we look at the different E's, we can understand how AI can supercharge or augment what we do as human beings. But verily, at this stage where we are right now in society, it cannot replace human expertise. But I'll leave the question to you. What do you think? Can AI replace human expertise? My gut feel is that at this stage, AI cannot replace human expertise yet. Thank you so much.
The University of Johannesburg. The future reimagined.